G'day everyone, how are you doing out there? First of all, I'd like to say thank you Dymphna for this competition, doing this. It was pretty hard for me to get there, but with the extended time that you did, I managed to get a bit of a free day today. Where to begin? In 2006, I bought my first home. I knew nothing about positive gearing or anything like that. I knew a little bit, look at my hair. I knew a little bit about negative gearing and I thought it was awesome at the time. Yeah, real good. It was the top of the boom when we bought it. I'm in Perth, WA. Pretty much house prices tanked about a year later when the GFC hit, 2008 or something like that. Interest rates were just jacking up. The only way I could get into the market was with a low doc loan, and I started off at, I think it was around 11%, which was huge. My wage at the time was earning 800 and something, working for a company called Freedom Tanks, good company. And my payments were $630 a week off the mark. You can't even get loans like that anymore for a very good reason. So just by having a quick look at it, I started off at 9.29% on my interest rate, and as they were jacking up during that period, I got to the, oh, come on focus, 10.64%. Yeah, so not quite 11%, but still terrible times. Just to get by, I immediately filled my house with all my mates, got everyone in every single room. I even had a friend living on the couch for 25 bucks a week. And that's how we got by. Started renovating the crap out of the house, trying to just get it up. I'd already read a book on, sort of getting ahead by Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and Cash Flow Quadrant. Had an idea then a little bit about you really need to make money off these houses instead of just paying it and trying to claim it off tax, off the government. Once I bought that house, my interest rate was so high. Interest rates just started skyrocketing up as the RBA tried to put a tank on the inflation, what was happening at the time. I was freaking out about this. After about 6 months to a year or something like that, I met a mortgage broker who said he could get me a better deal, and I went from Carrington National, I think I was with, to the Commonwealth Bank. And was able to get a great interest rate of 8.24, which I thought was really good. He said it was so good, he pimped up about negative gearing, saying the 10 grand tax returns, all that sort of stuff. And I was like, yep, let's do this, sounds good, Mickey Mouse. So I locked myself in for 5 years at 8.24, something like that. I could look it all up. About 6 months later, I'd say, interest rates just started tanking. It started coming down, and in the end, within a year or so after that, interest rates were well below, in the 6% mark, while I was stuck here up at 8.25 or 24 or something like that. I started realizing that negative gearing wasn't really the thing for me, as all my money was just leaving, and not enough of it was coming back at tax time. I was doing heaps of renos, so I was trying to claim as much as I could. Lots of tax credits getting built up. Not my thing. Don't do it. This is the Dymphna. It's been a few years, and then my parents actually heard about Dymphna and said that they're going to go check this out. Check out this person who's got some real estate stuff going on. And I was like, okay, I'll come along. She was doing a one-day event sort of thing at the casino. Popped in there, got blown away by it. Loved it, and signed up then and there. Did the boot camp, 3-day boot camp in 2009. Loved it, learnt so much. Learnt about negative gearing being stupid and positive gearing being great. And then I figured out, what can I do? After doing the Dymphna course, one thing she said is that you need to be involved in groups. So that's what I did. I joined up with Pigs, we were calling ourselves. Perth Investment Group something? Don't know. Did that. It was extremely hard to get to that because it was during a work day once a month. But I went to the first 4 months of that. And in the end, work was too hard on me and I couldn't do it. But on the fourth time I went, a surveyor came in and handed us some sheets with all zone codings and all that sort of stuff, and basically showed out the minimum stuff you need to do for a subdivision. Dymphna had gone all about, had been explaining all about subdivision stuff, but literally it was just going over my head, I guess because all I was focusing on was renovations, because that's what I'm good at, that sort of stuff. I thought subdivisions just was for the big boys, too hard. So after this surveyor had been to the group and chatted with us and all that sort of stuff, I went back to my property in Kelmscott, stood out the front of it and looked at it just like Dymphna said, and thought, I might be able to subdivide this. Got out went down to Maziga's, bought a tape measure, measured it. I had 6 meters, which was heaps more than you need, and measured out the back and had 331 square meters if I got rid of a back room. I called up the surveyor when I could and said, can we do this? The surveyor said, look, probably not, it's a bit tight. He said, talk to a town planner. I remember Dymphna talking about that sort of stuff. Went to the local town planner and he said, we might be able to do this, put in an application, blah, 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 blah. We could. That was a good thing. I started to do that. I had about 10 grand saved up in the bank. I put that into all the fees straight away. The surveyor said it's going to cost around 25 grand to do the whole thing, which I thought, okay, well, I'll put in 10 now, get going, pay for all the WA planning commission, all that sort of stuff, and just work my butt off and keep saving. At this time, I was earning more at work. I was clearing the grand at least. Ooh. But I was able to save a lot more of it. We started with the subdivision, ran into all sorts of problems, so many problems. Right, it ended up costing $66,000 to do the whole thing, and took us. In regards to having to pay $66,000 instead of the original $25,000 from the surveyor, what actually happened to me is I had a workplace accident. I was using a diamond cutter, cutting up some fiberglass. It caught up on some fiberglass, flicked, hit my leg, and chopped 2 tendons on my leg straight in half. And I was rushed by ambulance to hospital. I'll put a quick photo up now. From that, I ended up getting a payout. That payout was around the $60,000 mark. I used that to finish the subdivision. So, in a way, that was a blessing in disguise. It did affect me for a few years, though. But hey, you look back at these things and that's how it is. When we finally finished the subdivision, we built a house at the back, built a nice 3x1. Used all colours that could be hard colours, just greys and blacks and office carpet, everything that could handle durable for tenants, so I could rent it out and start to get a positively geared property happening. But at this point, I'd moved back into my parents' house up in Carrigullen. Rented out the front property. This was a battle axe subdivision that we did. Rented out the front property for $310 a week. I ended up being able to bump that up to $330 a week, and then rented the back property out for $360 a week. I'll put all those figures on a little fancy board thing or something and try and put it up on this video, so hopefully you can see it now. Once I'd done that, I did all this with the help of my brother. Neil. We struggled through the whole thing. We'd been running a landscaping business well, my brother had been running one, and I'd been doing the books for it after work. So we had a Bobcat, and we had a very dodgy truck, which it was really bad. With all that stuff, we were able to do the subdivision, struggle through it, and learn a lot. We completed the whole thing, and the back property came in at 360,000, and the front property came in at 279,000, and I bought the entire property for 279,000. So the figures, you've seen the figures. Once we'd done that, we definitely couldn't retire or anything like that. Didn't really know where to go next, so we went back to the Dymphna stuff and started going through the videos again, and just realizing when you go back through the videos, you don't even realize all the stuff you didn't even take in, especially all the subdivision stuff. For me, there was a thing in there with joint venture agreements, and somehow if you've got the knowledge, which we'd learnt about the subdivision stuff, and someone else has got the money, you could do a joint venture agreement. Happened to be that when we're doing this whole subdivision, my brother's mate, one of his best mates, had been asking lots of questions about what we're doing, following it for a time, and had 30 grand saved up, 36 grand or something like that. And he was going to buy a car with it. And Neil came up to me, he said, look, my mate's got 36 grand, he's going to buy a car, it's probably a dumb move of his. What about if we thought about doing a joint venture agreement with him? It wasn't really hard for me to say, yeah, let's do this, because I'd done the Dymphna course and learnt all about that. So we approached Brenton about it, and he was pretty cool about it. We had a big joint venture agreement thing written up, and at that time I'd had Real Estate Investor, really good program. And we also were using Nearmaps back when it was free. We got on Real Estate Investor and looked for a subdivision property. And after looking at about 4 or 5 different properties, we found one going in Brookdale. If you're from the Perth area, this whole area that I'm looking in is probably not the best area for investments. But nevertheless, I don't care where it is, you'll make money anywhere. So this Brookdale property, we bought that for, what the hell did we buy that for? 266,000, I think it was. It was a 950 square meter block, and it wasn't even being sold that it could be subdivided or anything like that. Just before we bought that, we ran it past the town planner, who we started to get to know. Dymphna says get to know all these different groups, your surveyors, your town planners, all that. Get on mates levels with them. So lots of cartons of beer. He said that, yep, all good, this property can be done. So we're like, sweet, let's do it. We got that, and that was our next property. We struggled big time with that one. You needed more than 36 grand, that's for sure. It ended up costing about 70,000. This time we wrote everything down, and we're much more streamlined with it all. But we worked every weekend for 9 months or something like that, and it started affecting everyone's lives, I should say. Girlfriends didn't like it. Neil's ended up splitting up with his over that. Brenton went on rocky roads, and well, my partner was good, which is a good thing. It was tough times, real tough times. We had to take off the back end of that property, and yeah, it's quite hard dealing with the shire that we were in as well. I won't say who that is, but I'm sure you could all figure that out. We rented the property out to a friend of ours so that we could still go to the property and do stuff, but had off to them. They were there dealing with mud and no paving, no driveway, and itchy nose. Totes up to them. They oof. We finally got the place subdivided, rendered the front house, all that. I'll put up some pics on here as well. And we sold off the front house. This was actually a corner block, so that was a good thing. Sold off the front property for $320,000. That paid down everyone's debt that we'd all put in, and basically put us back to zero, but with a free property, free lot of land, which we built a 4x2 on. The 4x2 is there, sitting there right now, empty, but it still needs the concreting done at the back, painting, and the driveway done, and that's it, ready to go. We'll probably look at selling that, but right now we can't do that because we've ended up buying another property. When this house was subdivided and we got the titles and everything like that, we then got a line of credit for 100k and then went shopping again. And we looked at a property. This is the three of us. Oh, by the way, we didn't buy this property we bought in just Brenton's name. We didn't do the trust and company thing. Don't do that. But sometimes you just got to don't do that. Anyway, this next one, we got a company and trust set up, discretionary trust, just like Dymphna says. And went shopping and we found a property in Morley. This was 1,050 square meters. It was a 3x1 up at the front end of the property with a very big granny flat on the back. Put up some pictures of that as well. The owner of this property was a hoarder, an incredible hoarder, just hoarded so much stuff. But this was an advantage for us because so many investors had turned it down because part of the agreements were the place needed to be cleared. But we said, you know, let's do it. The hoarder wanted 3 months extension on the entire project, on the purchase of the property, so that he could take some of his stuff to another property that he had. But he didn't really take much stuff. He didn't take much at all. I'll send up the before and afters of this property. We purchased this for $639,000. Because the banks came out and evaluated it, it just said that this property is unlivable, which it was. The bathroom, everything on it was screwed, totally screwed. Shocking property. So we had to put 80%, 20% in, which you should do anyway, like Dymphna says, but with the Brookdale one, we came in on that as a 95% LVR, whatever, LMI, whatever it is. Shouldn't do as well, I guess. But doing the maths on it, the Morley property that we bought should bring in a profit of around 300,000 and positively geared, but we got to work that out on the rental market. But hopefully I'll work that out. I'll write this up on this thing. This video is heaps harder to make than I thought. While this was all happening, when we did sell Brookdale and we got maybe 15 grand cash out of that, as it was split between everyone, we went and bought a rural property to get a positively geared one. I was just dying to get positively geared properties. So we found a property in Merredin. What different spot? The Merredin house was for sale for 125,000, but we got them down to 109,000, which was really good. We rented that out for $250 a week, and that's well, at the time that was $52 a week positively geared after everything, rates, insurance, and all that sort of stuff. But there's been a couple of interest rates drops now, so that should actually have gone up. But I need to go through all that. Haven't done any renovations or anything to that property. I'll put that up as well. that was a good little one. Just 50, I'd just see it as $50 a week, you know, for the rest of your life. So that's a good thing. It'll be a return in maybe 3 or 4 years. It's not the best of the best, but it's possibly good. And you know, I'm the kind of person that if I had 10 grand in the bank, I probably would spend it on something. Don't know what. Also bought a property in Mora, great little town. Did all my research and all that sort of stuff. In Mora, we found a property which was going for $110,000 with a real estate investor. We ended up getting that down to $90,000 due to a lot of white ant stuff happening in the front porch. But that wasn't a problem for us since we just tore the porch down and redid it. There was a high demand for rentals in the area for $275 a week. Went up there on the weekend with the boys. Took the girls up there as well, and we stayed there for an entire weekend and painted the entire house on the inside. It's actually quite a good job. Fixed up the pool, got that going. There was a dodgy above ground pool. And did a little bit of gardening, not bad, and got it rented out. Look forward to getting a valuation on that property because the property, couple of houses down from that, is selling for $250,000, which is a lot more, and it doesn't look much different to the one I've got. So we'll see how we go. Rural areas move a lot slowly, but that's one thing. During all this time as well, I'd moved out of my parents' house and moved into my girlfriend's parents' house, which were really nice. They're good people up in Mullaloo. We stayed there for about 3 years, saving up money for a deposit. To get a house for ourselves, which was a halfway point. So, in between Mullaloo and Carrigal, we're trying to find a halfway point, which happens to be the city, which is the most expensive part of really Perth, all that. We didn't want to just buy a property where you buy it and it's no good. Basically, well, after reading the Kiyosaki books and Dymphna, we realised, or we knew that the property you live in is generally not an asset, but is more of a liability because it takes money from your pocket and not put it in your pocket. So we wanted to try and figure out a way how to make it either positively geared or something like that, or some type of benefit. So we decided we'd buy a property which we could subdivide down the track, which we did. Bought a lovely house, the one I'm in now. It's probably a bit messy right now anyway. This is a 5x2 home double brick in Morley. Bought this for $635,000. We've already had it evaluated at $690,000 just from painting it. The area, a bit of growth now has happened around here, and doing up the pool. We're going to subdivide this property as well. It's going to be a nice battle axe. We should be able to get about 450 to 480 square meters off the back. We'll be doing that after we finish the other Morley property. So far, after this bit, we'll show where we're at, where we're done. Thank you, Dymphna, for all your advice and everything. Been trying to get to your one-day events. Been to probably 3 of them, I think. Try to get to more. It's just hard right now with work and everything going on. But thank you so much for your knowledge. Thank you.